Hello everyone, Zitzbis here, and this guide is on tools to make skins. Last guide was what is skinning. In this case, we're just going to be covering the basic tools. So to start off with, I'm going to be covering paint.net, and I will also be looking at Photoshop. So we'll be going between the two. Firstly, we need to cover how to open an image. So in paint.net, we will go to File, Open, and we'll scroll all the way down here. There we go, and open the skin file. From here, we can then zoom in using the scroll bar, or we can use Control Plus. I recommend using the keyboard shortcut because it will scale the zooming in a lot nicer, whereas if we use the scroll bar, it's going to be more inclined to, one, it's harder to scroll, and it's going to be doing very unfavorable percentages. And I've found that typically when it does that, it makes the pixel grid just somehow just a bit funky. Don't really know exactly what's going on there. So yeah, keyboard shortcuts nearly always win. So this is the universal skin template. That's the main one that we're going to be using. Another version that exists is this one here, which is the newest skin format. Between the two, we can see that we have the head, we have the hat or helmet layer, we have body, we have the arms and the legs. In this case, I just took this template and I cut it down to make this. In this case, we see that we have the right arm, the right leg, then we have left leg, left arm, and the corresponding armor slash hat layers that go with it. So these are the two skin types that exist at the moment. When we use this skin type, it will work with any version at all, which is very nice. Or if you use this type, it'll only work with the newer versions of Minecraft, which is very pleasant because we have the extra layer, but it's not backwards compatible, whereas this one just is compatible all round. To start off with, we will be using this format since it's a lot easier to understand and use. So that's the file opening in paint.net. If we open up Photoshop now, we can do the same thing. So file open. In this case, it appears that I did not open that correctly. There we go. So if we scroll down, there we go. So we'll open this up. Same commands can be used in Photoshop. We do Control Plus. There is technically a zoom, which I assume is somewhere up under these settings, but honestly, I'm not even going to show you that. Oh no, here we go. Technically, we can do zooms down here. However, that's just cumbersome and it's easier to use keyboard shortcuts. So going back to paint.net now, the three main tools that you'll be using is the pencil tool, the rectangular select, and the move tool. So in this case, the rectangular select, we'll be using that to highlight areas, which is just very simple. You click and drag. Most people should know this, but in case you just don't know. So when we select under there, if we were to take our pencil tool and we click and we go back and cross, even though we are extending out here, it's not painting because we're constraining all movements within that area. So also remember that the keyboard command Control Z or Z, depending on what country you're from, will undo it. Or if we fill it in again, which is taking me a lot longer this time, we can also use this undo arrow. However, once again, I suggest keyboard shortcuts. If you don't use keyboard shortcuts, start to learn them because it's very beneficial. And then we have the move tool, which will pick up the area and move it around. Or if we have selected it, we can do Control C, Control V, paste it, and we can move it around like this, which is helpful. Within Photoshop now, we have the exact same tools here. We have the select tool, which in this case is harder to do because I can't actually see what it's been odd in its dimensions that it's telling me. There has to be a way to fix that, but at the moment I won't worry about that. If so, we highlight that there, and we have the same pencil tool. If you are finding that you can't find the tool that you're looking for, click on it and hold down the mouse button until it comes up, and then hover over whichever tool you want, and it'll bring it up. In this case, we do not want the brush, we want the pencil tool, so we can edit it via the actual layers. If we go back here, there we go. So in this case, we can once again fill it in, no problem, and we can do Control Z again to undo it. In Photoshop, it has a different way, and that's doing the Control Z, in that if we do it in Paint.net, it's simply Control Z will just undo it by each step. In Photoshop, however, if we take these pixels, there we go, and if we do Control Z, it will undo it, but Control Z will undo it again. Instead, we have to do, hold on, zoom in so that way you can see it a bit better. We have to do Control Alt Z, and that will undo all of them. So that's how that's going to work, and we can undo it all the way. So those are the three main tools that you're going to be using. As an example of how we're going to be using the move tool here, because I should also show you the flipping. If we fill this in with white and we switch that again, if we do that, and we can make it smile, and in that case, if we want to, we can move that around, or we can do Control Z, Control V, and set it up so that way we have a face on all sides of the head like this. Or we can paste it and we can flip it. Now see how there's unusual gray masking there. We need to make sure that it expands back out to 8 by 8. Otherwise there will be issues. The way you can see the dimensions of your selection, let's bring that out again. So when we select, we go from here, and if we go here, that is 9 by 8 as determined by the number down here. Whereas if we do it again, we have 8 by 8. So you need to make sure that you constrain everything correctly. Same as down here, 8 by 12, and here 4 by 12, and similarly. So fairly easy and simple. So that is the beginning of how to use the tools for making skins. There's other software out there, and I'll be doing an extension on that regarding how to use GIMP and online tools, but I'll save that for another time. I'll see you in the next video.